Welcome.
Welcome.
Housewives of True Crime YouTube special edition today. We have breaking news. Yeah, we have breaking news in the Idaho murders, which...
it's broke.
It's broke, and it is coming to you in a really crazy way. So I will get to that in one moment. I'm going to give you all the details. But before that, please like and subscribe. And we have additional information on our Patreon, which is Housewives of True Crime /patreon.com. We also have a podcast where you get lots of crimes every week, and that's called Housewives of True Crime if you guys want to go there. Good morning.
Yeah.
I haven't seen you.
I haven't even gotten to talk to you. No, I haven't talked to you in a while, and I think we're not going to get to talk. Because we got to get into it.
We have a long, it's going to be longer once we get some more details, but we are talking about the Idaho murders today, and that is where we should just dive in. And maybe next week, Gretchy, we get into the weeds on what you've been doing for the last 2 weeks without me.
Oh, it's been very exciting. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, so if you guys have been hiding under a rock, which Gretchen was because she moved during this time.
Okay, yeah, she gave me so much shit. I mean, you didn't really give me a lot of shit, but I took it in some kind of way via text.
That you didn't know about this case?
Yes. I was like, she's being a bitch right now. So then I was like, well, shoot, I got to go back.
No, I didn't.
Find out about this.
Said there's a lot of research.
It's the biggest case of the year.
I did say that.
So then, yeah, she did. Yeah. But I looked back when this all happened, and it happened November 16th. You know, I moved into my house November 15th. Was move-in date.
I think it happened actually November 13th to be.
Okay, still moving weekend. The first article I saw was dated November 16th.
Yes.
Don't worry, I'm pretty.
No, you're caught up. I made her get caught up so that we could talk about it today and we could fill you in on all of the details that we know so far. But if you have been hiding under a rock on November or moving or just, I mean,
it's the holidays.
Life is tough, and sometimes you just don't want to read brutal information even during the holidays.
Planning meals for cooking for a lot of people.
This is true. So I'm going to give you a quick recap of what happened in Moscow, Idaho, which is such a weird name, right?
Moscow.
I do know that
much.
Okay, it's Moscow.
You know how I know?
Please.
Because you're going to appreciate this.
You looked it up on how to say it?
No. Because I went to Nancy Grace was a big source of my information.
Oh, yes, and she's all up on this, man. I listen to her too.
And so some people gave her a hard time apparently for saying Moscow. And
that's how it's
she gave them a talking to.
Oh, she did. She was like, listen.
There are more important things than that to worry about, people. So for all of you, about 50 people on Twitter that corrected me, just so you know.
She said. Oh my goch, that's so funny. That's how we should be, right? Lafayette, Fayetteville, whatever.
Yeah. So it's wisdom.
So let's get to the night or the very early mornings. There was a girlfriend and boyfriend, and their names are not that easy. Sorry. It's Xana, I would say, Xana, Kernodle, Ethan Chapin, and then two best friends, Kaylee Conclaves, and Maddie Mogan. That's the easiest one, Maddie. These were the four victims. They were all at home in bed. It's a college town that hasn't had a murder since 2015. So, dude,
that's pretty good.
It's pretty good, and it's pretty safe. seems like it's just full of kids running around, going to classes, going to parties, joining fraternities, that kind of thing. So on the night of November 13th, Zaina and Ethan arrived home just before 2 o'clock in the morning, and Maddie and Kaylee came home just 11 minutes later. The four pretty much went to bed right away, except for Maddie. She called her ex about 7 times that night. Listen.
Sounds like us when we were a little psycho at 20.
that is what I thought too.
That's what you had to do back in the day because we didn't have social media. You had to be calling to find out or driving by.
Listen, this is 2022, so I guess you still do it when you're in your 20s. I think it doesn't change. Listen, when you're in your 20s and you're drunk and you're coming home from the bar and you're like, hey,
the heart makes you do crazy things.
It does. So I wouldn't read into this too much. I do think that investigators did at the time, but I would say that she's just being a normal 20-something-year-old girl.
Agree.
So sometime between 2:30 and 4 o'clock in the morning, an intruder entered into the home and killed each one of these 4 students in their beds. It was 2 beds to be exact, or the location that they found them were in 2 beds. So obviously the couple, Zaina and Ethan, were sleeping and they were found in 1 bed, and then the 2 other girls were found in another bed. I don't know if one had woken up and went into the other room and then they just were both found on the bed, or if they just were sleeping in the same bed. Listen, we did that also in our 20s. Like, it's not, it doesn't mean anything.
Well, I think that right there is a big part of why this case is so bizarre, because it's like, how did a single knife-wielding person go in and kill 4 people? How did they not wake up?
Well, it seems, and especially because of, I think Kaylee or Maddie's dad kind of did say, he's let out a little bit of information, and one of the things he said is like there were defensive wounds. So I think the couple were killed first, and they were probably sleeping, and it was probably pretty fast. And then somebody did hear a scream sometime around 3:30 in the morning, and that must have been one of the girls, if that scream actually did come from the house, which I think 3 people reported a scream or hearing a scream. So if that's about the time that it happened, I would think one of them or 2 of them did wake up and they did have defensive wounds. So I think this guy just did it when, they're sleeping. Like, you wake up and you're groggy and you're still kind of wasted. I think it's a easy way to not defend yourself.
Yeah.
So the other crazy thing was there were 2 other roommates in the house that were spared.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes. And they had no idea that their housemates were murdered. So they were, I think the house was 3 floors, or like the basement and 2 floors, something like that. And they were on the lowest level. And then I think it was the couple and then the girls. So the guy never made it. Either he didn't know they were there, or he didn't have a target to them, or the girl screaming scared him and he ran away. For whatever reason, they were spared. They did not have any
spared,
idea.
But left with a lifetime of trauma.
100%.
Yeah.
Especially because people are like, what the fuck are you talking about? You didn't know that 4 people were murdered upstairs? That's crazy.
Okay, so one of my beefs with Nancy is, So I kind of went back and listened to all of her crime alerts so I could kind of hear, like, how did everybody hear about this information as it came through? And but I already know, like, the end. But she's like, who are these people that discovered them? And, like, she points the finger at everyone.
Yes.
That's so unfair.
Well, it is also very unfair because, of course, like, yeah, nobody called the police until, like, they didn't find them until whatever, 11 something in the morning the next day. That's not very unusual also for college. Sorry. Like, if your roommate's sleeping, you're not going in there going like, hey, are you waking up?
You are 20-year-old college partying. Sleep is next level sleep.
Yeah, you could sleep till 2. And I would never go in, like, if we were living together, I would have never gone into your room and been like, hey, are you waking up? Do you have work? What's going on? Did you get murdered last night? Like,
do you remember this? Our friend, Christy, Christy, was living in a house and her alarm was going off and she was sleeping through it. And the next door neighbors called the police.
Oh, like her alarm, like somebody's breaking
to get her to shut. Yeah. The police walked in her house and turned her alarm off because she was sleeping through it.
Oh, see, yes.
Okay. The follow-up to that is soon later, she was getting busy and her neighbor yelled out, I'd rather listen to your alarm.
Oh, no. That is really funny.
Okay.
Christy, you should be proud.
It was with her now husband.
Oh, well, even more proud. Hopefully you're still doing it like that.
Yeah.
25 years later. Okay, so, well, now we know how these girls that were downstairs didn't hear their upstairs friends getting murdered and did not call the police for hours and hours. And as soon as the police came, the police decided it was a crime of passion and said that all the other students in the vicinity should not be concerned as they were not in danger.
I'm sorry. I'm concerned.
Yes. And so people were like, what do you mean by that? Right? Well, I almost think that he looked at those text messages or those call logs and was like, it's the ex-boyfriend right away.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the ex-boyfriend. And so after they ruled him out, the police decided that the town actually should think they were in danger and kind of put out an alert, which, I mean, dude, it's almost like the police department had like bipolarism or something. Like they didn't know what to do. They didn't know what to say.
Somebody that just killed 4 people, let's say it was a crime of passion. Somebody that just killed 4 people, what else do they have to lose at this point? Yeah. Okay. And they're still running hot. You got to think that adrenaline keeps going for a while. So, and
I don't know.
I would be on high alert. I can't imagine telling people to not be on alert when a quadruple murder has just happened.
Yes. I think that they definitely shouldn't have said that nobody was in danger, because what we will find out is this dude is a serial killer in the freaking making. So yeah. I don't think that he was going to stop at these 4. So,
and here's the truth. We're all in danger. You're in danger. I'm in danger right now as we effing speak. Okay.
I know.
So stay on alert. Be alerted.
So weeks went by, right? And the town was crazy. The world was crazy. Internet sleuths started trying to figure it out. Parents of the victims got very angry that the investigation seemed to be slowing down. People were on edge. And then they finally arrested this guy with DNA evidence, which, by the way, one of the dads did say, he kind of hinted that there was DNA evidence. So I think the police kind of tipped him off like, hey, listen, calm down. We have something. We just need more time to figure out who this guy is, but we have DNA evidence. So, chill.
Shout out to those parents, because God forbid something happened to one of our kids. I think we would just bury ourselves. I wouldn't have the strength to be like talking to the press and worried about the investigation. I would just crawl in a hole and die.
Yeah, I know. But this guy, I mean, he's feisty.
Yeah, so I think I love it that they're
so it's good.
Feisty. They keep on it, keep the word out, keep the attention on it. Yeah.
Yeah. So at this point, we have probably all heard his name and we have seen his soulless face. His name is Bryan Coburger. You've seen him. I've seen him. He's 28-year-old white guy, 6 feet tall, slim, which I guess happened after he became a crazy OCD vegan, according to his aunt. Which Gretchen then said to me, the irony that he is vegan, slaughtering people, doesn't really make sense. Mm-hmm. He is in a PhD program in Washington State University for criminology, which is also real scary. He graduated with his master's in criminology just this past May in a school in Philadelphia, where he studied under an affluent writer and professor at the DeSales University named Catherine Ramsland. Do you know who this person is, Dr. Ramsland?
No, I don't.
Okay, so she's an expert in serial killers.
The whole thing, the fact that he actually is a criminology, PhD student and all of that. I mean, I don't know of any other case like that before, but it just sounds like a movie. Like, it is like so shattering that this is actually like someone would go through that much trouble to pursue their psychosis of like becoming a serial killer, that they would get a PhD in the shit.
Dude, seems totally bananas.
I don't like it.
So this woman who he's connected to wrote 2 books, How to Catch a Killer and The Mind of a Murderer. She's also best known for becoming very close to the BTK killer, Dennis Rader.
Ooh.
So really, really bizarre that she's connected to this guy. Or that he was probably fascinated with her, He also was just living 7 miles away from the murder. Even though he was at a different college, it was only 7 miles apart. And it was in a different state, but the state, they're real close together. So he was 15 minutes away from their house at most. While digging into his past, he in May, so this is interesting. He graduated in May, so I don't know why he would be putting out a study in May. Seems like a little bit late, but he put a study on Radar Online out of DeSales University, which we don't know if it actually was part of the college at this point, but he asked criminals for detailed information on the crimes, the psychology behind the crimes, how they were feeling. He asked questions like, did you premeditate it? How did you feel right after? What kind of feelings did you have when you were pursuing the crime? Some people from the university said that this is very normal, especially in the field of criminology, which I can see. And shoot, I mean, we look up all kinds of shit like this too.
Totally.
In our line of work, but I would like to know, like, when he put that out and when his report was due. You know what I'm saying? Like, he graduated in May, so how come this came out in May? Wouldn't you need some time to get enough criminals to actually like fill out your survey?
Right.
At Washington State University, he was a TA, like a teacher's assistant, because he was in the PhD program. So he actually had students of his own and he graded their papers. They said he was real tough on them.
I imagine. I remember those power tripping
Oh,
TA
Yeah.
They were the worst.
They were the
A
worst.
power tripping TA is worse than any ego-driven professor you ever had in college.
It's so true. It is so true.
They are the worst.
Mhm.
You're like, just tell me what I need to do, dude.
Yes, I had one at Cal Poly, and she basically told me that I was the worst writer ever, right? And then the next year, I went and took a writing class and had a PhD professor, and he was like, "Your writing is spectacular." Like,
I think it's pretty good.
It's, I'm not the best writer, and some of you are probably like, "Oh, listen, when you speak, your grammar is all misconstrued, or just screwed."
Hakuna Matata.
Whatever, right? You know what they say in Costa Rica? Pura vida.
Yeah, pura vida.
Anyways, let's get back to this guy. Oh, so his grading in just the last few weeks has been a much different level. His students say they have now been getting A's, and he seems to have taken a break from reading their articles or their publications, whatever they needed to turn in, and maybe he was worried about something else other than their reports.
Okay.
Now, let's get into his younger years. Like I said, he became a vegan because he was a bit overweight as a teen.
I've known a lot of overweight vegans. You got to be real careful how you do the vegan thing. Nuts have a lot of calories, and a lot of them turn to that because it's an easy snack.
It's true. Yes, this is very true, but obviously it worked for him. His aunt said he was an OCD vegan, so
too much. It worked too much. He was too skinny.
Yeah, well, yes, and he looks unhealthy. There's some sort of nutrition deficiency I see in him. It might be psychosis, it might be something else, but I don't know. He looks really, really weird to me. He looks like I said, to me, he looks soulless.
He's a little sunken in.
Yeah, he's sunken in. That's what he is.
Yeah.
His aunt said that she had to buy new pots because he wouldn't even eat out of a pot that had meat in it before.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a little bit extra.
Okay, listen. Don't come for me, vegans, and I appreciate everyone's personal beliefs. This is all I'm saying. I think if he might have focused his energy on pot and pizza, like a lot of college students.
And by the way, you could be vegan with pot and pizza.
This tragedy could have been averted. That's all I'm saying. It does the body good for your soul, keeps you from killing people.
Might not be good for
when
the weight.
I am on a strict diet, I want to kill people. Okay?
Yes, you do.
And he was on a next level. That's all I'm saying.
It's true.
Also, feed your children a lot of protein.
Yeah.
We need it. It makes you crazy if you don't have enough protein, whatever source you get it from.
This is true. So people say that he was bullied, or somehow it was noted that he was bullied. Some people say that. Other people say, you know what? He was weird. He made unusual advances at girls. And so if you want to consider them saying leave me alone, you freaking creep, bullying, then so be it. But the bizarre advances were too much for them to take. And so he wasn't bullied.
Yeah, we don't have to take it.
Actually, the bullier.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Another few people came out and said in his teen years, he dabbled in drugs and allegedly did heroin. I can't confirm that. And it's hard for me to think that someone went from heroin to a PhD. I don't think that happens very frequently. I think maybe he did, but I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. We
Heroin's
will.
not my jam. I feel like if you're going to stay in school long enough to get a PhD, you got to have all circuits firing. And I feel like that puts a couple circuits out.
Yes. And he was considered very, very smart.
Yeah, he was the agro TA. Yeah. Ugh. Yeah. Yeah. So that's a leap.
I feel like it's a leap too. I mean, and you should see people are coming out of the woodworks right now. So we'll see. The people that knew him more recent, they say he was a weird dude. Didn't seem to have a lot of friends, and I can see why. I also dug a few things up that could or could not be him. People on online forums have been like going crazy on this case, and one person in particular on Reddit forum named Inside Looking seemed to be real invested, okay? To the point where this anonymous person would get mad if people made accusations that weren't true. For instance, this person claimed, like one user says, something might have happened at Sigma Chi, which is a fraternity. And then Looking Inside responded, nothing happened at Sigma Chi. And then the person's like, how do you know? He's like, because I do.
Oh, so it's him.
He also writes about that same time, that same day. He writes about the incident. He says, he puts up pictures and he goes, where the killer parked, where he got in. I mean, it seems to me like he knew a little bit too much. He asked a ton of questions. He responded a lot to people. He argued with people. And then a lot of people got very suspicious on him. And they were like, dude, I think you're the killer. And he responded that he was not the killer. But to me, it's bizarre. And his username has since been disabled.
Okay, listen. That's why I don't like to argue with people online. Say it was him, and you're just Joe Schmo and wherever. How do you know he's not hiding out in your town? And he goes and figures out who you are, which is not hard to do. We figure out who people are all the time. Mm-hmm. Looks at your Facebook or whatever and decides to just kill you too.
Well, dude, this guy was, I am telling you, no doubt he thought he was going to get away with this, and this was not going to be his first and only one.
I wonder about that, or if he wanted to be caught, because you're real dumb for going on those Reddit boards and commenting.
I don't think he wanted to get caught. Because, okay, so after he did this, he, I guess, allegedly also went around to the grocery stores with gloves on. And I don't think it was because he was afraid to catch COVID.
Oh, he knows they're looking for his DNA.
Yeah, I think so.
So what are you going to do? Live the rest of your, because once you discard something, just so everyone knows, it can be used against, it's public property. So what are you going to do? Never wear gloves for the rest of your life? Never throw away a piece of trash? Never drink out of oh, but I guess he's OCD vegan. He could just be like, I reuse all my cups.
Yeah, I think he was being really careful. Okay, so I'll get back to that part of his what I think he was planning on doing, but let me get to one other crazy Facebook forum that I think he could have also been this guy. His name is Papa Rogers. Our BFF Ailish sent me some info. Remember that? The other day, and I had seen that also when she sent it. I'm not sure who Papa Rogers is, but this Facebook page has also been deleted. But before it was deleted, we got some screenshots, and he was on this forum. The profile picture is eerily similar to this guy's, but it's a drawing. And this guy asks a ton of questions. He writes on December 22nd, Day 39, the killer is not in the victim's circle. Like, how does he know that?
Yeah.
Same day, he writes, the killer is not a student. Thoughts? Then on the 21st, he writes, I know this won't be a popular opinion, but this is where I think the bodies were found, with diagrams, pictures, like pictures of the house and like a diagram, and like he wrote it out. Which, dude, it could be just some super overwhelmed sleuth. I don't know. But the questions and the constant, I mean, it was daily and multiple times a day. So I know some people get obsessed with things. So it could have been just an obsessive
I don't know.
person, but it was also weird.
You know, one of the crimes that we never talked about on our podcast, because we don't do anything that involves children, but we followed very closely, was the murders of Abby and Libby in Delphi, Indiana. And so I know that I belong to a group that was following that case. I don't know if you did, joined as well, but I never saw, there was a lot of speculation. I never saw anybody post any diagram or drawing out or anything like that, like over the years. And I've been like in the thick of it with that.
Yes, and I never.
I think that would raise a lot of eyebrows. Yeah, and a lot of people that are in that group are people that are really invested in true crime. You know, we met some of them at like Crime Con and stuff like that, and never seen anything creepy like that. So
true.
Sounds extra to me.
All right, so let's go to catching the killer. So they did have some surveillance from a nearby gas station of this white car that I originally remember. I had talked about it a couple weeks ago, that I thought they found an organ all tore up, but it turns out it wasn't the same car because Brian drives that white car. And in mid-December, his dad flew from Philadelphia, where they're from, to drive Brian and himself back to Philly from Washington in the car. So I know Brian knew that they were after this white car. He drives a white car. He lives 7 miles away. He needs to get that car out of the vicinity, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I think he was driving back to Philly. Who knows if he was going to stay there? If he found out, like, you know, the dad was like, they're going to catch him. They have DNA right there. He knows he's got to get his DNA the heck out of the vicinity also. So
don't you think doesn't that raise a little bit of a question with the daddy? Like,
why is he saying so much?
Well, just, hey, buddy, like, I'm sure they have since given it to your son's PhD and everything, and it happened so close to where he was living. I'm sure they conversed about the situation, and you drive the same car as the suspect.
Dude, okay. So, yeah, and why do you want to drive your car back out to Philadelphia from Washington, right? So it's a long drive, and he gets pulled over twice on his drive over, which the police, they have no clue because they don't know the FBI's on this guy's ass, right? So they pull him over, and they have him on, like the body cam, and he's like looking like, holy fucking shit, what is going on? And they're like, oh, you're driving too fast, or you're following too close, or whatever it was, right? So he's probably like, whoo. The dad was like, oh, and the cop even says, like, where are you going? He's like, oh, we're going from Washington to Philadelphia. And he's like, have you not heard of an airplane? Because, dude, that is a long ass way.
Oh, listen, it's a bad time to be driving across country right now.
Oh, fully.
It's cold.
Yes.
There's storms. Icy.
Yes. So, yeah, the dad is like, I mean, you never think it's going to be your kid that would do this awful crime. I mean, you can't even think that would happen, right? Okay, so they supposedly have his DNA, And what I read is they have to run it through these DNA websites. However, I think they used to be able to use Ancestry, but they are not able to use that anymore, or 23andMe. So there are only 2 sites that they can do, and it's like pretty small. So they get like maybe your 4th cousin, 5th cousin, and they do a lot of digging. Basically, they see where those people live, who they're in contact with on social media. They dig until they hopefully figure out kind of who they think it is, which I'm pretty sure they probably saw that he posted this thing on Reddit and that he was this criminology major and he drove the same car. So they were able to get his DNA from somehow. Probably he eventually threw out a straw or something somewhere. But they've been following him. You know, as soon as they had an idea that it was him, they've been following him.
Which I would just like to say, I think it's bullshit. I think they should be, and that's how we got the Golden State Killer.
I know.
I think listen, one of my family members out there, you be murdering. Oh, lock them up. Lock them up.
I know.
I'll give you my DNA. I don't want any murderers out there. What are we protecting murderers for?
I don't know.
Everybody give their DNA.
Well, I've given my DNA to 23andMe, so, but they're not using it to, I guess, catch murderers.
Not yet.
All right. So once they were in Philly at his parents' house, they came in bright and early, and his parents were in utter shock, I'm sure, because they don't think their son is a crazy murderer, but I am pretty sure they're going to find out that he is. They are convinced of his innocence, and they say that this is just a huge mistake and he will be exonerated. However, all the records are sealed because he was arrested in a different state than the state the crime occurred. So they have to extradite him to Idaho, which was Tuesday, the 1st or the 3rd of, what is it, January 2023. Yes. Happy New Year's, everybody.
Happy New Year's.
They had their first kind of extradition trial. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Extradition hearing.
Yes, hearing. And they will be extraditing him to Idaho, which once they do, we will see the arrest records, which will give us some additional information, which will be really nice, because then we'll kind of have more clarity on exactly what, maybe not exactly, until the trial, we won't know everything, but we will have more information. Also, he is going to plead not guilty, and I don't think he's going to talk unless, I don't know. Unless he has a fascination with the BTK killer, which did talk.
I don't know. He seems very chatty, and I think that he thinks that he's a narcissist. I think that he thinks that he can outsmart. He's the power tripping TA. He can outsmart everybody.
Well, okay. So there is not one attorney that has come forward to say that they will assist him in counsel in Idaho, which I don't blame you. Criminal defense attorneys, I would not ever want to take on this case. You will be the most hated person in America trying to defend this guy. So will he get a public defender? Will he think he's smart enough to defend himself? I don't know.
It'll be interesting. Okay, I did read a little bit about his courtroom behavior, which was interesting, right?
And his behavior in prison or in jail, because he's just in jail right now.
Okay, so he's talked, let's start with that. So he's talked with the attorney that was appointed to him in Pennsylvania or whatever.
Right.
And they said that that attorney is like, dude, I'm in it. for a minute.
He's happy to get rid of him for sure.
He's like,
here he goes.
This is all I'm saying. He seems he was calm and polite and is confident that this will all get cleared up. But he doesn't seem to say anything like,
he's innocent.
He's not defending him.
No. He's like, what was your DNA doing at the crime scene?
Yeah.
If you don't know these people.
But there's something eerie about just hearing that he was calm and polite.
But
right?
He wasn't.
An innocent person would be like, what the F is going on?
Yeah, true.
You would be outraged. You would be going crazy. You would not be calm. And if you arrested me for a murder I did not commit, I would not be calm and polite.
No, I wouldn't
ever.
Either. I would be like,
no.
There is no way I did this. Who planted this shit?
Yes. I want Massaro. I want, Garrett Ghost. Get me those guys.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So then he goes to his extradition hearing or whatever, and the parents and the sister are there crying, apparently, which I do feel bad for them, of course, right? This is going to be have devastating effects on the rest of their life.
Yes.
Yeah. And he mouths to them, apparently he has not been able to speak to them, that he's sorry.
He says sorry?
He said, I'm sorry.
Then he did it. He is like admitting
That's what
guilt.
I think. That's what I think. But you could read into that maybe he's like, I'm sorry you're going through this or, whatever, right? But I think that's like, I'm sorry I did it.
Well, why would you say you're sorry? You would be like, I don't know how I got here. Why am I here? I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to find out more soon.
Yeah.
And all those computer records, all that stuff will come out. We'll see if he was really this.
Oh, that's going to be so good.
I know. I can't wait till the trial so we can actually have concrete details because, they keep that stuff hidden until the very end, until they get him on the stand and they start asking lots of questions. And
oh my God, I hope Court TV does the whole thing.
They will. And I think, does Idaho have the death penalty? I think they do.
Yes, they do. Yeah, they do. And I believe it's lethal injection.
Not death by hanging in front of society?
No.
Do we not do that anymore?
No, I don't think we do that anymore.
Although I'm pretty sure everybody in what is it called? Moscow would probably show up for this one because it is such a tragedy to see these 4 young, aspiring, good people that were going to be doing good in this world that left too soon in such an awful way.
Yeah.
So that's all we have for now. And if you want, if you're listening on YouTube or if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to us now because we will have more updates as they come. And we do cases like this in others all the time. We don't do any children. So you can listen, watch, and follow us on our podcast also. And then for Patreon. So yeah, it's where it's on. So anyways, I think that is all for today. We will be updating this as it comes.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
So clank, clank.
Clanking.